Okay, this video goes along with paper homework 1.1, 1.2 for Math 141. It's number 11B because I had a request for that. So always just let me know if you need more details on something besides just the key. Okay, when we get into transformations more, if you know your parent functions and you know how to sketch easy, that technique works really well. Also on this one, I just have the parent function, so I have x squared for when x is less than or equal to -1. So it's just that piece of the graph. So I'll put my laser pointer on here. So when we have this piece, including the -1, so anything over here will be a parabola x squared. So one technique you can do is like just draw out the parabola, and you know it's going to be 0, 0. You can plot points if you want, but if I put 0 in there, I get 0. If I put -1 in there, I'll get 1. If I put -2 in there, I'll get 4, because remember the negative's included. But if you notice here, I could even put 1 in there, but if you notice here, I don't want anything bigger than -1. So this point here, I don't even want to include that. So I'm just going to go along with this chunk and just stop there. If you do feel like you want to graph the entire thing and then erase, like sometimes that helps if it's a tricky kind of graph. Like with I find like cubics or some kind of different shapes, it just helps to kind of do the full thing and then erase. Don't worry about that. You can always rewrite it later. And the next one is 1 over x squared, which is rational. So you may not be as familiar with that. So we could just pick some points here. Doing our x's, we want to pick our x's greater than or equal to -1. So they're all going to be this area, right? So what I would pick first is -1, because that is included, and I'll square it. So I would get 1. So that's the same point as I already have there. So I'm just going to leave that dot. Then if I pick 0, now that's a little bit of a problem, right? Because I can't have 0 in a denominator. So with these, I'm going to do it in a different color just so you can see. It's going to approach the y-axis. So I'm getting ever so close. So if I put like a half, we could do that actually. Let's write in a half. Get rid of this here and put in 1 over a half squared would be 1 over 1/4, which would actually be equal to 4. So that gives me a better gauge of where that sits. Okay, so it looks kind of like a parabola, but it's not. It's a rational. So I'm gonna try to get this drawn decently here, and then I know I'm gonna approach that axis, but it's not gonna really ever touch it. Okay, it's an asymptote. And likewise, that'll happen on the other side. So if you put 0 in again, you're going to get an undefined. So we don't want to do that. This was actually -1/2. But if we put in a +1/2, we're also going to get 4. So we're going to match over that side. And then the 1, the same thing. We'll get 1. And if we put in 2, we'll get 1/2. So you can see kind of how it approaches, and it'll shrink down like this. So this one is a little bit tricky. because we haven't done graphing rationals in full. You've probably, maybe just done plot pointing and stuff. So when we get to rationals, we'll do transformations and have some things like that. But for now, just plot the points that are in your domain. Just pick an X that's in the domain for that piece and find your Y. Pick an X for that piece over here and then find your Y. You can do that for a couple of points, and as long as you have the general shape, it works out just fine. And then to talk about domain and range, so domain on this one, it would go from, this actually does continue, off to negative infinity, and this to positive infinity for my X's. No, it might not look like it. This will continue to taper down there. And then the range are all your Y's. So I am going to have 0 approach 0. That's my asymptote. So I'm going to have a curved line. It will never quite get there. And then it does go off up to positive infinity for my Y value. So that's my vertical change. So I think that was a kind of a tricky one to graph and to have all those pieces. But I hope you find that helpful. I can do some more of them. And I also have a practice sheet that I can post for you if you with a key, if you want some more practice with that. We go over that in our Math 99, the prereq here, but sometimes, it's been a long time in it, or it's one of those topics that kind of gets pushed aside a little bit. So you may or may not have had much experience with it. So if you want some more practice, but don't feel like you have to do more, but just want to give you that option. All right, have a great day.